This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Damn, Perk did this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
What's going on? What's going on? Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's your guy, Kings and Dreams. Thank you so much for tuning in with me on a Tuesday evening. I hope everyone's summer is going well. Definitely, it is a hot one, man. More ways than one, man. Good vibes over here, though. If you guys did not check out my interview on Saturday with Theo, please make sure that you do check that out. Definitely got some more collaborations coming up this week. So definitely appreciate y'all. Also, just a quick tidbit. So now football season has started 2 weeks earlier. So my live streams are going to be a little bit later, probably around this time, right? So for the foreseeable future when it comes to during the week. And I'll be doing some more live streams on weekends here and there. But just wanted to give you guys that heads up, right? Because I know most of you know that I am a football coach. So that definitely, when my times, I would say I would start around like 7, 8 o'clock. So definitely going to be pushing into like 9:30, 10 o'clock, things like that. But also with this guest, the time that I'm moving it to actually helps it out because this person is on the other side of the world, man. So I'm definitely excited to speak to this brother. Been on a few panels with this brother. He's actually been on this channel, but not necessarily on a one-on-one interview. So this is going to be the first and definitely not the last, man. I got to bring up my guest, my man, Ronan Travels. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you doing?
Man, I am doing well. I'm doing well, man. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me today. So, and I'm very excited to learn some things, man.
Okay.
For sure, man. First things first, right? So, I know that you are a content creator, and I know that we have some people from your side that are tuning in. So we are dual streaming. So anyone
Right.
from my side, please make sure that you do a solid. Once my moderators come in here, make sure that you do drop Ronan's link and make sure that you do subscribe to his channel. And also, if you guys are watching from Ronan's side, make sure that you do subscribe to my channel. As you can see in front of the layout, Kings and Dreams on all layouts. So it's right there. You can't ask how to spell it. You see it right there in front of you. Oh man. So, anyways, man. So good vibes. I can tell by the lighting in there. It is in the morning, right? So you are 12 hours ahead. Is that correct?
12 hours ahead of the East Coast time. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So then you work that out all the way over to the West Coast. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that would be 13 hours. 13 hours. Yeah.
Cheers.
Ahead of the
I'm
West
on
Coast.
coffee time. You guys are on liquor time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Well, I just came off the field, so I'm on workout time, man. You see, I still got the whistle. Look, you see, I still got the whistle, man.
I'm a big football guy, so I like I told you off screen.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for me. And you see, I got my you can't see it, but I got a Kansas City flag behind me. Everywhere I go, I rep. I'm Kansas City until the day I die.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you guys. I mean, you guys basically are like the new New England Patriots of this era. You guys are dominating. I mean, besides the last Super Bowl, that was a rough one.
Ups and downs for a lot of years. We thought when we had Joe Montana, we would make it. You know,
Yeah.
we had some very talented guys, and we came super close a lot of years. And that's dating me. I used to have a Tony Gonzalez jersey. So I've been around in the game, and we took our lumps, and I stayed faithful no matter. I lived in California while I was in the Marine Corps and was still touting Kansas City Chiefs, and we were coming up like third or fourth in the Western Division. So, you know, hey, that's just one aspect. But if you don't mind, let me introduce myself to a lot of your people.
Sure.
Since they don't know me. You know, I appreciate you allowing me to come on your podcast, first of all, and having this conversation. For those that don't know me, I go by Ronan. And the reason I go by Ronan is because I'm a U.S. Marine veteran, and I served almost 8 years. I did Gulf War, Somalia, and several other missions. So, and that's the original Gulf War, not the secondary one. They went back in for weapons of mass destruction. So, been 40 years in sales, business, finance, and insurance. You know, beside for those accolades, I'm a man that basically has walked through the fire and chosen freedom over fear. You know, and I've gone through my ups and downs from being in the military, having post PTSD, in other words, and gone through, you know, treatment for that, gone through therapy for that, and started reevaluating my life. You know, my philosophy is basically simple. You know, men must reclaim their time, protect their peace, and grow their resources. Those are the big things. If you get on any one of my podcasts, you see me on a panel, you know, you'll hear me saying that over and over and over again. Besides for, I'm a man of faith. So I believe in keeping your ethical and moral standards as you go through this world and leaving a positive footprint behind you instead of a negative one. And maybe that's from not only my upbringing as a Christian, but my upbringing through the military. Military has ethics and morals, and you're taught to conduct yourself a certain way, leave something better than the way you found it. You know, big thing in the military and government anyway is winning hearts and minds. You can't do that going overseas and causing a rift between the cultures and everything else. So that's a little bit about me, so people can kind of understand where my background is as we're talking, you know, why I'm coming off the way I'm maybe coming off to them. And I'm an older guy, so I'm 57. I have kids that are as old as 38.
Oh, okay. So almost my age, because I'm 40.
Yeah. So I've been around the block a few times.
I got you. Okay, so let's start with the military. So what made you decide to join the military, and what branch were you in, if you don't mind?
First of all, I didn't want to join.
Okay.
I kind of did it because I had to, because of, again, my background being Christian. High school sweetheart got pregnant. I was in college. My major was architecture. So you can already tell I'm a creative, out of the box thinker. I make things happen. I don't wait to fit into somebody's box, you know. But what happened was my high school sweetheart got pregnant. I tried to do the traditional value thing and drop out of college so I could be a provider for my kid that was coming on the way. And I went into the Marine Corps. And basically from there is how I started my life. Was I dropped out of and I had a guarantee. If I could have stayed in 4 years, I would, actually 5 to get your master's in architecture. And I already had a scholarship into the college I was in. So it was a huge decision for me to drop out of college and go in the Marine Corps. But that's the branch I went into, was the Marine Corps.
Okay, perfect. And you said that you served 8 years. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So now, after the military, what's the next step for you? What was your next step after that?
Bro, life keeps lifing. You know, I went from having a kid while I was in the Marine Corps. I offered and I wanted to marry the mother of my first son, and for some reason she didn't want to do it. She had a fear of dealing with my mother. For some reason she thought I was a mama's boy. How dare her? You know, but she didn't want to have my mother as a mother-in-law, to tell you the truth. So she did not want to do it. Really? So yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. But while I was in the Marine Corps, I wound up getting married, having 3 more sons. I'm a
Okay.
boy maker. I'm a boy maker. I've been trying for that girl. I ain't hit that mark yet. So I had 3 more sons by my first wife while I was in the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
But what was the original question? Because I just got distracted.
I was asking you. So, what was your next steps like after you left the Marines? So
Right.
yeah. So
So,
you're
so
doing
once
fine.
you had
You're
a
bringing
whole
the
life.
trajectory. Yeah.
Right. So I'm bringing it back. So what happened was, and what I realized, and why I started having post-traumatic stress disorder is a lot of the time in the military, they teach you to compartmentalize your issues. Okay. So once I got out of the Marine Corps, obviously I already had kids. My next mission, instead of dealing with all my issues, was to go to work, provide for my kids, be successful, show them how to be young men in life, by demonstrating being a protector, provider, a good father, and all these things. So I went right into what can I do? I was in technology while I was in the Marine Corps, communications technology. I was running tech shops and stuff like that for computers, network infrastructure. So I could jump right into any kind of job I wanted. Got out and got into sales, which is quickest way to make money was sales.
Right.
Sold cars, worked at CompUSA, if you ever know what CompUSA was back in the day, or Computer City and all those.
Right.
Started being really successful at making sales. Then I got into corporate sales, government contracting sales within corporate America. And I started winning huge deals. I started winning deals with the county that were 5-year deals where anything the county needed technology-wise, I was providing it through that organization and that corporate America shop. So I had, if you look at CompUSA being a retailer, I had 7 retail locations that were working under my government contract. So I instantly went from working 1 location to working 7 locations, make sure nobody effed up my government contract deal I had with that county. And I had the 2 largest counties in California, Riverside and San Bernardino County, on my contracts. Went through that cycle, but military minded, I get bored, man. Every 3 to 5 years, if things become repetitious to me, I gotta fucking go. I gotta go. I just can't. I will blow a cog because I'll see all the issues that are wrong. Remember, I'm an out of box thinker.
Right.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure. All right. So while he's doing that, let me give a couple of shout outs. Shout out to Don, says good evening, good morning, everyone. Yep, absolutely. Good evening to me. Good morning to Ronan. Shout out to Ronan. Definitely make sure that you hit the like button. Oh, okay. Got the smooch from the missus. All right, definitely make sure that you hit the like button.
She already leaves. She just wanted to find the keys. She didn't know where I put them. So
okay, all right.
So anyway, yeah. So
okay. You want me to? Okay, yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. I was just gonna say shout out to Santika for the. He says Tuesday night live. Let's go, and then go ahead, continue, brother.
Yeah. So anyway, every 5 years, I would get tired of an organization or a company or whatever, depending on where I was on levels, and I picked up levels all the way up to executive level, management, and sales. So every 5 years, I would get bored. So I jumped from computers right before the bubble kind of popped on computers, and I found a Black-owned business in pharmaceuticals and medical supply sales.
Okay.
So I jumped in there, and I was working with this guy to grow his business because he was new to get into a position as a VP. And my mindset at that point was, how Microsoft started off really, really small. And I'm like, employee number 1 through 10 are bombing it out with their fucking stocks. If I can get on the ground floor and grow a company like that, my God, what are the potential and the possibilities? So, I got into that. This was pretty much a startup. They were 2 years old when I got there. His highest year in sales was 600,000. Oh, by the time I got there, and he was just focused on Band-Aids and gauze and stuff like that, basic stuff.
Yeah.
I had no idea about government contracting, any of that. So I got an organization thinking, I'm going to take all the positives from all the corporate America jobs I had, and I'm going to apply it into this small company. And best case scenario, let's see what the performance is going to be. Hire, train salespeople, so on and so forth. So I did that. I got didn't know anything about medical supplies or pharmaceuticals. God honest truth. I knew about sales. I know about sales techniques. Been trained by Fortune 100 companies. I can apply that anywhere, right?
Right.
And that's the thing I try to tell people. People pay you a salary based on what you know, but they're going to leverage what you know in order to make a profit for their company. So if they're willing to pay you 6 figures, you actually are worth way more than that. You are underbidding yourself for that 6-figure salary. I encourage a lot of people to go independent. I encourage a lot of people to be their own bosses. Stop working for corporate America as quickly as possible. Take lessons learned and start applying it to a business that you can get in for yourself. That's the mentality I have. Why continue to offset your goals for somebody else's goals and start working towards your own goals and your own individuality as somebody that wants to be a provider 100%? Because at the end of the day, that shit can be turned off in a minute if you piss somebody off in that company. You control your own destiny when you own your own business.
That's true. Absolutely. I completely agree with that, right? Because I've noticed that and even when it comes to like education, a lot of things that I hear and read about is when it comes to men, more men are not not going to college. They're going to some sort of trade school so they can learn a trade, whether it be like HVAC, then they start their own business. Like I have friends who started plumbing business, electrician, right? And they go to school for that, but then they want to start their own business. Right? As you mentioned, a lot of guys are starting to leave corporate America and go into business for themselves, right? And I think that that's the new way, because essentially when you're working, as you said, let's say someone is getting a good salary, 125, 150,000 a year. That's a very good salary, right? But imagine how much that company is making off of you, right? So you could probably be making, they're probably making maybe, let's say, 10%. You're 10% of that. So essentially, what I'm saying is, so if you're at 100K, they're probably making, a million, 10 million, so on and so forth, off of
Right.
what you're producing. So it's just a matter of having that mindset of saying, okay, you know what? Like, I need to take matters into my own hands. And I understand some people have that FOMO, fear of missing out, because you're used to that bi-weekly paycheck, or if you get paid every week and you're wondering where's the money going to come from. But you have to be willing to bet on yourself and be willing to sacrifice.
Right. You absolutely do. You have to have self-confidence when you make that kind of move, and what you know is what you know, period. Nobody can take it away from you. And that's the same thing when I got into the insurance business. I was telling people, like, yo, that license is yours. You can go anywhere you want once you get that license. Same thing. The knowledge you gain in life is yours, even though they might be paying you a salary. And I started learning this as I was leveraging labor within bids for government agencies and everything else, like our tech labor. We might pay them $25 an hour, $30 an hour. That's a 30% cost over what we would actually charge for that labor. We might pay them 25, 30, but we're charging $160, $200 an hour for that same labor.
Right.
So then my mindset started flipping, like, hey, if we're doing this for labor on tech, what are they doing with salespeople? What are they doing with executives? What are they have a earmarked goal. And that's why you have goals that you have to hit throughout your career in any level of business. You have certain goals, because they need to pay not only your salary, but everybody underneath you, plus make a profit.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you're being leveraged, even though, hey, they're offering me 6 figures. Yeah. Well, there maybe if you're being paid 100, they're looking at making 600K a year off of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Or $1 million plus off of you. And if you don't hit those goals, believe me, your ass is out of there.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Sales, and especially the higher up you go, right? Because the numbers matter. The numbers matter. Doesn't matter why you didn't reach your quota or what have you. If you don't make that quota, they're getting you out of there, and they know they can get someone else. And one thing that I had to learn about myself and being in corporate America for so many years, and I've had some wake up calls. I've had some really good jobs, really good salaries, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm not replaceable. No, you are replaceable. So, and I think that this is
Absolutely.
another reason why more and more men, which I'm excited about, are going into business for themselves because they're betting on themselves, right? And I'll say this, and of course, you're a bit older than me, so I'm sure that you definitely have heard this, right? Because we have this stigma, you finish high school, college, you get this job, and you work in corporate America, family, white picket fence, all that,
Mhm.
all that shit, right? And the thing is, now I think like a lot of men are awoken awakened rather awakened due to the fact that they're saying, okay, after high school, I'm going to go to college for 4 years or 8 years depending on what I'm doing, right? So, and I'm going to build up all this debt, and I'm basically going to have to spend the rest of my life having to pay all of that debt back, right?
Think
And
about what you just said there. Say it again, because that's a
oh,
gem. Say it
yeah.
again.
So I was saying, guys are thinking, okay, I'm gonna go to college from 4 to 8 years and 10 years if you're gonna, be a doctor or things like that, right? And I'm sorry, no, 6 years, 6 years, yeah, 6 to 8 years. Sorry about that, but nonetheless, right? I'm going to school, accumulating all of this debt, and I'm pretty much going to have to work the rest of my life to pay that debt back. So why not go to HVAC school, go to plumbing school, or learn some sort of trade where as soon as I'm done that, I can start doing the work and I can start saving up enough money to build a business for myself.
Right. Let me back that up with a story.
Sure, go ahead.
And it was interesting because I had a brother of mine. I call him my brother for real. I've known him for 30 plus years now.
Mhm.
Um, he's been on my show a couple of times. But when I first got out, I was very rigid, Marine Corps rigid. Like you wouldn't get me to smile. I wouldn't be expressive. I was
Mhm.
pretty much cut and dry. I still had that 1,000-mile stare. Right. So he saw that in me as a Air Force guy. He's like, look, he was in real estate at the time. And he said, look, I'm going to take you on some sales calls while I close some deals. If they bring somebody with them, find out 5 things about that person while I'm getting contracts signed, have a conversation with that person, right? And find out 5 things about him. So interesting enough, one time he went to go close the deal and I was just talking. Um, the lady, I started off saying, so, got her name and everything, introduced myself. Say, hey, what do you do? She goes, well, I'm an instructor at a dental school. Why do you say it so matter of fact, like it's not a big deal? You're an instructor. That means you're a dentist. You have your doctorate in dentistry if you're instructing, right? She goes, yeah, absolutely. I have my doctorate, but that's nothing to brag about. I was like, what do you mean that's nothing? You got a doctorate in dentistry. You can make all kind of money, blah, 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 blah. She goes,
Right.
nothing to big deal. She goes, I'm almost $350,000 in debt. I'm married to a CFO of a technology company. He never went to college. He's not in debt. I'm $350,000 in debt. My husband still makes more than me. At that point, it was confirmation I was going down that right road. But
Yep.
the story is, how do you have a doctorate and you feel depressed, literally, because you're so much in debt?
Yep.
So just to say you got a degree in some things doesn't make you more successful than the next person.
Right.
And I'm telling you this for a reason. I'm sitting in the Philippines right now. Most of the people that get jobs here in the Philippines, you got to have a college degree. But look at the local economy. Look how much less people make here. They barely make $400 a month. I'm living in a gated guarded community with doctors, lawyers, and other things that are living in this gated guarded community. And I'm probably making more in semi-retirement mode than most of the guys that are sitting here that are professionals in their country. Think about that.
Yep.
You know, so then I started, even with my own sons, as they started growing up, I say, look, try to go to college first. If you love something, just go for it. You know, but try to go to college first and get a degree, right? And if they fail out and say, Dad, this is just not for me. Okay, so find something you love to do. Find something that you're going to wake up every day with a smile on your face because you love it, and go do that. Just from your excitement of doing the job, the way you conversate about it, how excited you get about it, business will come. My son went and got his doctorate or his degree as a pastor. But as he grew up in the church, my oldest son I'm talking about, he did everything and he went to a church that was a televised church. So he learned everything from sound to production to TV production to all these things. Even though he got a degree as a pastor, guess what he does? He does lighting, he does production, and he does TV and work in a union where he's ranked number 7th in the country. As young as he is, 38, he grew up learning from the old heads. So as the technology changed, he knew how to integrate from the old stuff that they still use into the electronic digital stuff that they still use now. So the pyrotechnics and all that stuff, he does everything from the NFL. He did the Super Bowl last 2 years. He's done everything when WWE comes into town. He does all these things, these great things. And 95% of the time, people that get degrees don't even use them in the same degree they got it in.
Oh, absolutely.
So even though he's got his degree as a pastor, he's highly rated in the country for integration of sound and lighting and video.
Man, good for him. Good for him. I mean, I definitely know a similar story to, someone that I'm very close to, and they have their doctorate, and they have a lot of debt, a lot of debt, and they're not even using their doctorate. So I know exactly what you're talking about, right? You know, and it's just good that when people go to school, like for me, my son is 11, but what I am encouraging him to do is always stick to, whatever it is that he loves. And I tell him, I said, as you get older, make sure that you find something that you love and run with it, right? Because the thing is that I'm not saying that I don't want him to go to college, but I just don't want him to go to college and get a degree where he can't use. The good thing about your son was that in the church, he was able to learn about like lighting, production, so things behind the camera, because what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the money is really made behind the camera. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You'll see, the Denzels and now the Michael B. Jordans or whatever. Yeah, they making money, but you got to think the people who are behind the camera. Don't forget, like, okay, so after Denzel and Michael B. Jordan, they're done a movie. They may not come out with a movie for another 2 or 3 years. So if you're 6 months working on production for one movie, you could be going on another movie set, working another 6 months. So while you're still working, collecting that money, your money adds up.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So now you talk about you have the 4 kids, and you went through, you talk about you went through sales, and now when did you decide to say, I'm not really feeling it here in the United States, I'm going to travel and see what's out there? What was that like for you?
Oh man, my travel journey started at a very young age. I didn't grow up poor. I didn't.
Okay.
My mom was very successful, doing dirt and not doing dirt. And I don't want to say that she did dirt. She used to keep the boots with her mom. Came out of Baltimore, Maryland. So if you know the harbor, different things like that, back then the mob basically controlled a lot of different things. There was a lot of number runners in the 70s between black gangsters and Italians.
Right.
my brother's dad was actually a collector. He was like a 6'4" Indian, and he used to go on the docks and collect money for the mob. So we had houses, we had things. So every couple years, we fly as a family vacation to Puerto Rico, Bahamas. So I already had that itch. My mom was not attached to family because she was a foster kid.
Mm.
Unbeknownst to her, she was stolen as a child by her foster parents.
Wow.
So that's a whole story in itself.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
So we didn't have attachments to anything. We would move every 2 to 3 years once she got divorced, whatever. Lived in upstate New York, Germantown, Philly, all these things, even within the United States. But still, we were always traveling other places. And then the love of food. My mom would say, hey, always try something at least once and then decide whether you like it or don't. You know what I mean? So there was all these little bases of training me, of wanting to travel and wanting to seek other things and gain more knowledge, even as a child. So when I got in the Marine Corps, it was real easy for me to pick up and go. It wasn't a problem.
Right.
So once I got in the Marine Corps, I was stationed in Hawaii for a while, stationed at Camp Pendleton, did my floats. We stopped all over the world, Japan, all these different places, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, all the places that you would normally stop in the military. So that again started to feed that bug and reminded me what it felt like even as a kid to have these new adventures traveling. So basically it was ingrained in me since a child.
Okay.
So as I got out of the military, again, my focus zeroed in. My new mission is taking care of my kids, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I still have repressed issues. I still have repressed stress and all these other things from the war that I dealt with. Never dealt with those things because I reprioritized.
Right.
Once I went through that, I had my moment, and I had a couple military buddies that helped me through that, going through treatment, getting on meds, doing all the things I needed to do to get through having PTSD. And even to this day, you still have moments where you can get flashbacks. I have short attention spans sometimes where before, I'm telling you, I have legal pads. I'm a very good note taker. I could take a legal pad and look at it 5 years after the fact and recall the whole conversation. That's how good my mind was when I was on it. After I got hit with PTSD and these things started coming out in me, man, there's moments where I'll just blink out, and won't remember anything I was talking about.
Wow.
You would have to remind me where we are. So that's where you start noticing you're having these little traumatic episodes. They don't come out all at once.
Right.
Comes out little by little. You start realizing you're losing a step here, or you're mentally not on it as much as you used to be on it. That's when you start figuring out, hey, there's something going on that's distracting me mentally. And then I started seeking help for that. And part of that was after my second divorce, I sunk into even more depression. My kids are all grown. Now it was time for me to deal for me. It was time for me to live for me. It was time for me to deal with the things that had developed over those years. And that's usually when it hits a lot of guys in the military. They think, oh, yeah, I'm all right. I'm an alpha male, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Did you go through therapy? No. Okay, you're going to pop. Sooner or later, you're going to pop. It's just a matter of when. It's going to be a situation. It's going to be an empty nester situation. It's going to be something that's going to cause you to snap. And I've watched a couple guys that watched me go through it. They're like, oh, it's never going to happen to me. Sure enough, this one guy is very successful in insurance, 3,000 plus agents, making high six figures, white guy, had 4 kids, the whole house thing, everything. The minute that last kid left the house, boom, it hit him. He says, Alex, I'm going through the same thing. I said, go get into therapy. Go to the VA. Start getting, figuring out what you had suppressed. And he was actually in War II. So he was in the Gulf War. He had dealt his time. He had lost a lot of buddies that he had to compartmentalize, never grieved. All those traumas you don't get to deal with while you're on the battlefield. The mission is the mission, regardless of who your best friend was that you were seeing pieces of right then. You still have to achieve a mission. You don't get to grieve that. And then even after that day of you completing that mission, there's another one. You never get to deal with that until you address it yourself. And then when they kick you out, do you think they decompress you? Do you think they take you through? No. The day you're out, the day you're out. Go figure that shit out on your own.
Yeah, it's crazy because my brother, he also, well, brothers, both of them
Mhm.
were Marines, were in the Marine Corps, and so I have conversations with them, and they're older than me, they're around their age, and it's interesting because maybe we'll talk offline. It'd be surprising because maybe you might know them because they were stationed in Hawaii too. But anyway, one of the things that I wanted to mention is that, like, when it comes to our military, right? And as you said, once you're out, you're out. Like, it's very frustrating for me, even though I'm a civilian, but I have a lot of genuine love for the military, and I know that a lot of my subscribers, and I believe that's how you and I cross paths, is because a lot of the people who are either active or retired military are a big chunk of my subscribers and people who I've had private conversations with, i.e., my brothers and
We
more.
travel in the same circles. We're 3 degrees of separation between me, you, Black Man Travels, Fearless. We all have the same people that we all know. So yeah, we travel in a very tight circle. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of these content providers and YouTubers, we all know each other in the background.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? There's all kind of background conversations after the fact.
Right. No, I absolutely. But yeah,
Mhm.
so what I was just gonna say was that, once you're out, you're out. And and it's good that you were able to actually be there for your guy and say, hey, you know what, this is what I'm going through. Like, I'm successful on the outside. I have the white picket fence, I have the wife, I have the 4 kids, I've raised them to be productive in society. That's what fathers are supposed to do. Make sure that our kids are productive, as adults, right? And so once
Right.
that last kid left, adult or whatever, let their wings fly, so to speak. It's like, oh, you know what? I have nothing else to focus on per se, but myself. So when you're sitting there looking at yourself in the mirror, it's like,
Right.
holy shit, what do I
Right.
do?
Not
Yeah.
only what do I do, what didn't I address that's already starting
Oh
to come
yeah,
out
well, yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
and everything else. Yeah. All that
yeah,
comes out at once sometimes and huge amounts,
right,
So that I encourage anybody, especially prior military, if you haven't started, you need to start.
right.
If you haven't thought that you're going to have an issue, believe me, you will, especially if you were in a serious situation while you were in. And I would say, in general, most Black men have post traumatic stress disorder just from being in the military because it's racist as hell. Ain't nobody going to ever tell you the military was not racist.
Mm,
Okay. Whoever had time in service, time in rank, white especially, they were giving brothers a hard ass time in there. I used to reverse that shit. If I was in charge of getting something done, I'd put a brother in charge and put all white people that were subordinate to him under him.
yeah,
I used to do that on purpose,
right.
just strictly because it's done to us so much while we're in.
Mm, wow, wow. Yeah, I mean, damn, that's crazy, man.
So
That's
all
big.
brothers have PTSD if they did military time at all. Because some white boy, sure enough, tried to pull rank, pull time in service, try to make you do something that had nothing to do with your SOI or anything that had to do with anything. He tried to make you do it strictly because he had a extra bar on his sleeve or collar.
Mm, absolutely. Looks like a couple of people are responding. Hold on, I just want to see this. The day that I got my decal scraped off my window, the feeling of being alone overcame me. Shout out to my man Jay Burden. This is my
Yeah.
guy.
And,
Also military guy too.
yeah, and here's the thing, and that's a huge problem because while you're in, you grow in rank and service and all these things for prestige, honor, respect. You have command of men, real lives. You're commanding lives,
Right.
equipment, missions that are benefiting the whole United States. You're being recognized for those things. The minute you get out, you're nobody. You're a regular old civilian. That's traumatizing in itself. You go from commanding men and lives and affecting things that are happening that the government wants you to do to, oh, you depending on what you do, right after you get out, it's not like they're going to put you in charge of a whole bunch of things. You might have to go work at McDonald's while you're trying to figure it out if you don't already have a job ready. That's demeaning as best for a grown ass man that has that mentality. It went through all the things he went through when he first gets out, having a hard time finding a job. Yeah. And then being put in a subordinate position after he was so used to managing all this type of hardware and men and lives, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, right? I mean, it's definitely demeaning. It would seem demeaning. And again, I don't have any military experience, so I just live vicariously through all of you guys and my brothers. But I mean, I know if I was in a situation, as you said, responsible for all of these men's lives, and then and then basically like, all right, so I'm reduced, no disrespect to anyone that works at fast food, but I'm reduced to somebody pulling up at the drive-through window saying, I need order number 33. What the fuck? I was just saving lives. No, but seriously, like,
but that's the point. You're seeing it. Yes, that's it. That's it.
It was just like, what the fuck? I was just saving lives like 5 months ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's
right.
It's crazy. And again, no disrespect to anyone who's working in fast food, but I try to say a little joke, but with some seriousness there, because it is such a shock factor just to see that, like, I'm in charge of people's lives. That's a big thing, people's lives, and then taking people's fast food orders. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit! Like now I'm just giving people double whoppers and all. Like, what the fuck? It's just crazy.
What happened? What happened to me? What the fuck? Yeah, that's an ego buster in itself when you first get out. And sometimes that's what happens. I'm not saying that happens the majority of the time. Now they have programs where they're helping veterans already pre-plan job functions. They're helping in a lot more because a lot of us older guys are like, yo, what the hell? Y'all not giving us no kind of assistance. If you don't know, you just don't know. And a lot of these guys are getting out of MOSs where they don't know how to reapply some of the things that they learned while they were in. If you were SOI or something like that, School of Infantry, or if you're an artilleryman, certain things are hard to kind of carry over into the civilian life. Doesn't mean you're any less important. Hell, you were right up front. You're SOI, you're artilleryman, you right there on the battlefield. How much stress have you done? How much have you commanded with when it comes to men? How much did you train? You get what I'm saying? To do those things.
Yeah, no.
But then you're treated less than the minute you get out.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I never, that I never understood it and never liked at all, because I'm from New York City, and of course there's a lot of homeless. I mean, any big city, you see a lot of homeless people, and I would notice that like a lot of these homeless people, you may say, oh, this is just some crackhead or whatever. And then when you actually speak to these people, a lot of them were actually in the military, and unfortunately, they were just kind of left by the wayside, and they fell into drugs, alcoholism, what have you, right? But when you actually take a chance and listen to them, and some of them are just so far gone, like, you can't really have a coherent conversation with them. But like, you'll see sometimes you'll see dog tags still on them, and it's like, okay, so like, like this person served the country, so it's just really, really messed up just to see like how they treat military people like once you're out the service. Shout out to my man Kofa. He says 17 years. Facts, definitely, man. Thank you for your service, brother. Okay, I served during. I don't know what these acronyms mean, so you probably do know.
I think it's Operation Enduring Freedom. I believe that's one of the operations he was in. If I'm getting the acronym right.
Okay.
I don't know the OEF one, but I do know the OIF. I think.
Okay. All right. And then Jay says his PTSD didn't like surface until around 2017. Let me see. My CO was from Ghana.
Dang. I don't know. I think he went in trying to get that quick U.S. citizenship. I mean, that was the thing, even with the Philippines. A lot of countries were allowed to go in the military in order to have a rapid fire citizenship. A lot of people from Jamaica were allowed to join the Marine Corps. You
Yep.
know, they took
From the
all
yard.
comers.
Yep.
You know, they took all comers when it came to joining the American military. If you wanted to have fast track American citizenship, one of the ways to do it was to go in the military. So I can believe it. You
Yeah.
know, that you had somebody from Ghana that was actually in the military.
Absolutely. An old head told me if you put on that uniform, something's wrong with you. Meaning, go get help and the VA benefits you've earned.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You got to be, you have to have a temporary insanity when you first sign in the military, and you're going for different honorable reasons. I don't say it's crazy for you to go in because you want to honor your country. Come to find out, once I found my mother's family and I knew my father's family history, a lot of us are service driven. A lot of my family served in the military. A lot of us, my family were police officers. They served in city government and so on. So I kind of found out genetically, sometimes you're just driven to do certain things. You have no idea why you're doing them.
Right.
But once you start looking at your family history, you start understanding exactly why you're doing certain things, and that you have no control over your genetics. Okay, so it's ingrained in you, and you either deny who you are and deny what your urges are, or you succumb to them and you let them, let them make you the person you're supposed to be. Make you the person you're supposed to be. Exactly.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Don says 15 years Air Force. Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Thank you to all who sacrificed and gave themselves. Nothing but love for you. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Oh, JM, salute, man. Definitely. Let's see here. If you are working fast food after you get out, it's your fault. First thing they teach you in the military is to plan, and you know that, Ronan. Therefore, you should plan it. You should have an exit plan.
Absolutely, he's right. The military is now consciously making sure that happens. I was in the 80s. I don't know when you served, JM, but in the 80s, they weren't thinking about that shit. When I got out by 1994, they still wasn't thinking about, oh, well, you need to prep. You need to do this. You can take your CE credits and you can roll those into a college degree. Absolutely. Let me put it this way. When I got out, the training that I had, when I went to a college to roll over my military experience, I had 80 credit hours. I already had a degree just in my military training alone.
Wow.
Okay, so I get it, but a lot of people aren't as smart as me. I went in smart. A lot of those guys go in the military and certain branches ain't the brightest. Why do you think they call Marines crayon eaters?
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If you find yourself working at McDonald's after it's just a.
Yeah. I agree with him. Yeah, it's nobody but your fault because you're misinformed. And unfortunately, your command didn't care about you. And that's where some of the PTSD comes from, because you're being neglected as a service person and your command doesn't care about you. Your staff NCOs don't care about you. Your sergeant doesn't care about you. He's not keeping you informed and pushing you, knowing that you're going to get out, what you're ready to do. That's a demonstration of poor leadership. Period.
Absolutely. All right. The OIM, Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I think you got the OEM because I believe I heard you say Operation Enduring Freedom.
Yeah, I forgot about. I think that was the second round, Iraqi Freedom. Okay. I think that was the second round or third round after I had already gotten out. I knew one was Enduring Freedom. I didn't know about Operation Iraqi. But I understand.
Okay. I'm not in the military, but my brother-in-law is a military doctor. He's in Kuwait right now. All right. Well, definitely shout out to your brother-in-law. Hopefully he's safe out there. Thank you for your service. Okay. And then it says, I had a former Marine white over me. One day he asked me why I was in the service. I said to make a way for my wife and daughter. He said he could take all that away from me. If he felt like it. Wow. Yep. Okay. I'll leave that up here.
Bro, that's the racism I'm talking about. You literally, when you sign your contract, you're signing your life away. You're basically becoming whatever the military wants you to become. Even when you sign that contract, if you lied on the contract and they try to get you at the moment of truth when you're in boot camp, you smoke some weed and you didn't profess to it, and they take your blood or hair sample, they try to get you to break your contract the minute you go into boot camp. They play psychological mind games on you from the day you go in to the day you come out.
Wow.
They keep you on edge. Period. And I kept the guy that was going to go in. He was a pharmacist or something like that. He had his doctorate, but he went in the Marine Corps for some reason and was going to roll over and maybe he was still in he was getting ready to go through OCS or something like that, but he was going through regular boot camp. And I could almost want to kill my recruiter because he let me drop out of college to go in and enlist it instead of keeping me in college and going through OCS. Because there's a number of
OCS?
OCS is Officers Candidate School.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Instead of letting me go in as an officer, he let me drop out of college to go in as an enlisted so he can get that number for the month.
Yeah, I heard that when it comes to like the recruiters, I mean it's essentially sales for them, right?
It's a numbers game for them too, and yes, it's sales.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, Burton, because that's what they do. White people they already feel like they're above you, but give somebody some power, give somebody some money, and you see who they truly are. You get what I'm saying? It gives them access to either fuck with you or to leave you alone. And this guy must have had so much control that he said, and I've had gunnies like that. I used to go head to head on this one redneck gunny, man. It was a problem every day with me and him. And I was just a sergeant. I would go off on this dude. But I knew my limits of what I could or could not do.
Right.
I knew the limits of what he could or could not tell me. I knew my prac. I knew my standard operating procedures. I knew the rules of the game. If I was going to go in the military, I knew that I needed to read everything about rules, regulations, and everything else, because I would be damned if I get jacked up so bad in the military, they threw me in the brig. And when you go to jail in the military, you go on the Fed. It ain't no petty ass shit. You go into the Fed. I don't care what it is. You're still military. You do Fed time. You don't do regular time when you are a government employee and you do a crime, because you still represent that military branch. You knew better. Wow. So I don't care if it was a petty crime out in town. It's Fed business when you come back on that base.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And military Fed prison at that. You don't get the regular Fed. You get military Fed.
What's the difference?
It's the structure of the federal prison. I think you're actually have MP. I haven't been in it. I don't know. Somebody can maybe correct me, but I don't know anybody that might have been in the Fed military wise that's in this room right now.
Yeah,
but I think you're.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying like for some like
instead of like a sheriff's department or something managing it, you actually have a command. You have military MPs, colonels, everything else. It's still structured like you're in the military, but you're in the Fed. Leavenworth, Kansas is a primary example. Thank you, Burton. And I'm from Kansas, so I've been to Fort Leavenworth. I know what that prison looks like. There ain't no pretty thing. It's an old brick building. They don't restructure a lot of things when it comes to military prison. You're living a harder life.
Oh, shit. I've been told many stories. Am I in Columbia still? I'm actually going back next month. So I'm stateside now. I'll be back in Columbia in less than a month. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just imagine like, as you said, you're doing Fed time, and I was listening to an interview with one of the mob guys, and he was saying like he'd rather do Fed time. Because he did Fed time. He was saying Fed time is easier than state time, right? And so, I was just imagining. All right, so now if you have Fed time in the military, and how you have to be up at a certain time, you have to be asleep at a certain time, and especially like if you've done something wrong. So now I know like they're really on your ass about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got you.
It's a never-ending boot camp situation while you in the Fed. Yeah.
The brick is kind of like the boot camp, but never ends. Okay, gotcha. All right. Understood. Understood. Okay. All right. So now, all right. So now you've gotten the therapy,
Right.
and you're you're rejuvenated mentally.
Right.
What's your next?
And while I was going through that, I switched careers. I went, like I
Okay.
said, every 5 years, right? Jumped from medical supplies to pharmaceutical,
Yep.
and then started getting into insurance and finance. So now I'm on a whole nother business. I'm
Yep.
running insurance and financial organization. I go through my cutting of the teeth, work for,
Mhm.
several prominent insurance companies, been recruited by several others based on my background and everything. And I did that for since 2011. Since
Okay.
2011, I've been independent. I haven't worked for anybody.
Wow. Good for
I
you,
can
brother.
walk, do whatever I want to do. Like I said, once you own that license, you own that license.
Right.
You don't have to work for anybody. You can get direct licensing with every insurance company that's out there once you have your national ID number. And it's just like becoming a lawyer. You have to be background checked, fingerprinted, FBI background check because you become a fiduciary. You're messing with people's livelihoods. You're messing with people's money at this point.
Right.
Not that the military didn't help me with that because I already had top secret clearances. I was pretty clean. So when I got fingerprinted and everything else, my approval went through real quick for
Okay.
insurance and financial planning and things like that. So that's the business I got into until, and like I said, I'm still in it. I'm semi-retired, meaning I take on clients when I want to. I'm not working for like Transamerica or anybody like that anymore. I'm actually working for myself, and I pick and choose who my clients are going to be.
Absolutely, man. Definitely, definitely appreciate it. Shout out to my man Zoom to Thailand.
Yo, Ricky Mac.
Shout out to Ronan. Shout out to Kings and Dreams. Salute. Hey man, thank you so much for tuning in. I figured you would be up at this time, man. It's 10
Yeah,
a.m.
he's on my time zone. He's over here.
Yeah,
I'm in
yeah,
the Philippines,
yeah.
Thailand, so he's right there. He he,
Yep,
he was
yep.
enjoying his coffee too. I'm sure if he drinks it.
Yeah, he does. He does. He does.
Mhm.
Hey Zoom. Hey Zoom. You know what I did? I actually took your advice on that 30% when it comes to the speed. So, let me know if you peep that. The 30% on the speed. He says yes. Yes, he is. Yeah, so he's drinking his coffee, man. Drinking his coffee. Okay, so now let me ask you this. You do the therapy, you transition careers, and I know that
Mhm.
you said that you've been traveling since you've been traveling since you were young, right? And so the thing is that I've also
2
been,
years old.
and I've been traveling since I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
So I get it. Now, my question to you, adult Alex, where did you start traveling and say, okay, you know what? I think this is a place where I could actually see myself living here and not coming back to the United States.
The first place, man. The first place was here. The Philippines was first.
Okay.
But I gotta tell you, the place I really, really loved, and I said in my mind years ago, if I had to leave the United States, but I wanted everything that the United States had, the one place I kept on thinking of that I had been to up to this point, and I've been to Hong Kong, all these other places,
Mm-hmm.
Australia.
Mm.
Went to the Perth side of Australia, loved it. People are
Yeah.
friendly, and when I went, it was in the 80s. And it
Okay.
seemed like we had the technology. They had the technology of the 80s, but they still had the mindset of the 1950s in Australia at the time. And I mean, it was kind of like leave it to Beaver neighborhood type shit where you could leave your door open. You wouldn't have to worry about a crime being committed, you
Really?
know? And
Yeah.
the people were so friendly. Like I said, it was one of the places said if I left the United States and never had to go back, that's probably the country I could go to. I hadn't been to New Zealand, but I still have an option. I want to go to New Zealand just to figure out how New Zealand looks compared to Perth. But Australia was one of the best places and the best time. And let you guys know, you hear that accent the Australians have, right? Americans to them have an accent. And just like that accent turns you on to hear them talk the way they talk, your accent turns these chicks on and they love you. They love American men anyway, because there was a thing. When you got off ship in America from an American ship, they had adopt a sailor, adopt a Marine. You normally would be in port for about a week, week and a half. And it was an all liberty port, meaning you didn't have to come back to the ship at all. You could just stay out in town because the country was trustworthy. So when we pulled in, it was a week, week and a half long stay. You didn't have to come back to do any kind of duties, nothing like that. So they would have these programs. But the idea behind the program was kind of show you the culture of the country and all these other things. There's a secondary opportunity, but a lot of these wealthy Australian men wanted their daughters to marry American men because the Australian men were considered too rough. And they didn't want their daughters marrying Australian men. So they would adopt these Marines and sailors, trying to opt them into trying to marry their daughters.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of these guys took them up on it because these women are fine.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very submissive. They were very feminine. They weren't modernized back then. So, you know, about the 80s, early 90s, women were still feminine. They still did the things. They still respected. And these older men trained their daughters to be wives.
Yeah.
They just didn't want their daughters to marry Australian men. And they were very welcoming because American men are known to be more romantic, more patient, more kind, and all these other things. We have a great reputation nationwide. Now you can let these pookies ruin it. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we started off with that reputation. Like I told you, veterans are always taught, win hearts and minds, leave a great impression, not a bad impression.
Right.
Absolutely. So we were continuing to work. We were continuing to do the work. You know?
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, right? Because I haven't been to Australia yet, but I've had some Australian interactions, right? And so the thing is, as you have mentioned, like I get a lot of feedback as far as with the Australian guys kind of being like rough, and a lot of them kind of have like some sort of substance abuse problem. Not saying a lot of Australian guys do, but it seems to be, at least the women that I've interacted with, it's usually like when the guy's inebriated, it goes into Hulk mode, right? And it's like, okay, the American guys are a bit more calm, they're more chill. And then especially when it comes to the melanin guys, I always hear like, oh, you guys have some sort of swagger. And I forgot what they call it in Australia. They call it something, and I forgot this word. It's Australian slang, but nonetheless, it's essentially like swagger, right? And so it's just really cool that you mentioned that, and I've noticed that even in Latin America, I always hear that as well, right? Because a lot of people know I'm like the Colombian guy. I hear that speaking with Colombian women or Brazilian women or so
Right.
on and so forth. Like I hear that, especially about brothers. They always say like, you know, we're not just like machismo. They would say machismo is like just like this butch and
Right.
yeah,
We
like,
have the machismo, but we're very calm about it. We won't let it out until we have to kind of like put our foot down. For
yeah,
the men that
absolutely.
are real, for the men that are real men, I'm saying.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely right. Yeah.
We'll be kind to a point. You push us to that limit, whatever that limit is, and then all of a sudden, all the machismo in the world comes out of us. We're kind to a point.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think sorry, you make me laugh about that. But no, but I think that as you mentioned, like there is that nice balance, right? Like it's like
Mhm.
being in control of yourself. And I think that some of the men that they interact with, like they kind of just fly off the handle. And men who conduct themselves as men, like we're cool, we're level-headed, and if we're not going to stand for something, we're quick to let you know. But we're not just going to just fly off the handle or put hands on you and things like that. Like to me, for men of men, we feel like that's not necessary, right? Because you can express yourself without having to go off the deep end, so to speak.
What's the word they use now? Emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Emotional intelligence, correct.
Yeah, so that's the country I would have considered going to before the Philippines. But as I started doing the research and as I started preparing myself to want to travel and live out of the country, Philippines kept on coming back. Philippines kept on coming back. And then you saw the young lady that just came and gave me a little smooch before she left the house. She won me over to coming here first. So we'll see.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Really quick before we go back into the Philippines. So Australia, New Zealand, there are laws that are somewhat similar to the United States. Just asking. Yes. Yeah, Australia and New Zealand, even though Australia is a country and continent, but yeah, both Australia and New Zealand are definitely westernized. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely, definitely. Like it's not like how it was in the 80s. So yeah, it's
I'm assuming it's not, but I still think a lot of the women have a softer edge to them, probably more so than American women.
Yes, I will say that. I still see like the feminism is deeply rooted over there. Like I actually did some research about Australia, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. This probably be a conversation for another day. But yes, they are deeply rooted in feminism. Not as much as the United States and Canada, but they're on their way. They're on their way. Let me see here. Australia is just another westernized country now, part of the Charlie Foxtrot that is modern feminist society.
Okay.
Oh man, that is funny. Okay.
I mean, like I said, I haven't been there since the 90s, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was one of the countries, like I said, then that if you asked me what other country I would want to live in, aside from the Philippines, it was Australia.
Gotcha. And so what made you choose the Philippines?
Besides for the Asian culture and the femininity of the women, the belief of the Catholic religion is still deeply rooted in this country. A marriage is considered a marriage here. Matter of fact, it's still not a law that you can get divorced in the Philippines. You can only get an annulment, and an annulment might take you up to 4 years, and the judge can still turn around and tell you no. That's why you have a lot of married individuals that are here, single moms that might have been married. They have a whole process before you can get married in the Philippines. You got to go and get a Cinemar. A Cinemar is to verify that that woman that you're dealing with ain't prior married and has either gotten an annulment from their first husband. A lot of these women be perpetrating, so you got to be careful. You got to be careful. A lot of these single moms might be married. You're dealing with a married women, and they do have laws here that allow the men to express themselves in certain ways if they have to be jealous. And these men could be whole another relationship, whole other children with another woman, and they see you with that woman. They still have certain rights because they're still married.
Wow. That's interesting to know, man. So a guy could meet a woman in the Philippines, get into a romantic relationship with her, and the whole time she could be technically separated. Well, not technically, but she could be separated from her husband, but technically still married to him. And if the husband were to see fit, the husband can address the situation with you. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Now, and here's the tricky part. Say I decided to get married to a Filipino. I could go back to the United States, even if she doesn't have her citizenship. I can file for divorce showing them I got married in the Philippines. I could actually officially be divorced as far as American law is once I file in America. If I don't refile that divorce decree in the Philippines, she's still technically married while I'm divorced. The Philippine government will recognize a divorce decree from another country, but they will not give you a divorce decree in the Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know, man. I really did not know that. I did not know that.
Hey, if you're going to play the game, you got to know the rules, brother. You go into a country, you better do your research in depth. What are the laws?
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Remember, I said, hey, Remember when I said I was in the military, I knew all my regulations were, I knew all my SOPs, I knew everything that I needed to know about dealing with the military. When I travel, especially if it's a country I'm going to stay in, I just signed a year lease. The house that you see me in right now, I just signed a year lease. It's my day one being in this house. Okay. But I have to know the rules and laws in this country.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, you do. Yeah, absolutely, you do. For sure. Now, what I was, so what I was saying is when it comes to the Philippines, yeah, I definitely understand why you know the laws inside out, right? Because you're living there. And it's just interesting that you were saying like they can see a divorce decree from the United States and recognize that. So you,
Or
Alex,
any other country.
yeah,
Any other
so
country.
you, Alex, would be divorced, but your wife. So you have an ex-wife, but she still has a husband.
Oh, you could be dirty like that if you wanted to be. Yeah. You could.
Wow.
You could.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's how strict the laws are. So that's one of the things, the religion based and the fact that they don't believe in divorce, and the women here really are taught traditionally to, value a man's presence, to value men. They are taught to be wives. Now, if they fight against that training because of the fact that they've been exposed to computers, they've been exposed to cell phones, they emulate westernized society because right along with the Philippines having these traditions, they are a port city. They are a port country. They are integrated into American military. Matter of fact, the quickest fast track in order for them to become American citizens is they can actually do military time in the United States. A lot of Filipinos going into the Navy, U.S. Navy. A lot of Filipinos. I had a Guamanian that was part of the Marine Corps that was in my company.
Oh wow!
So there's a lot of countries that will allow, like I told you, Jamaica and all these other countries are allowed to serve in the American military to fast track their service and their citizenship. So, you have to look at it that way too. If you're so welcoming to that country, that means you already know those Western rules. The biggest thing when in the 80s was take me to the land of the big PX. I'm sure people that served in Thailand had the same thing said. Now, that's something to say. Think about that. The PX is postal exchange. That's the stores and stuff that are on the base, PX. Not take me to the land of America because I love you. Take me to the land of the big PX where all the money is spent and all the stores are bought. So what's the mentality of that woman that said that? She's about money. Right. So a lot of military guys are getting married within that 3-year time span of them getting their green cards. They would have a couple kids. They would be tied or tethered to that husband in America through not only their kids, but their time when they got back to America, they would be tethered into the American society. Now, is Donald Trump stopping a lot of that? Hell yeah. Did the military stop a hell of a lot of that? Hell yeah, because there was so many years of guys damn near self-deleting themselves because they were burnt by these foreign marriages. And the Marine Corps had the famous saying, I don't know if the Army did, if we wanted you to be married, we would have issued you a wife. You are 100% responsible for that wild child. If you are not man enough to put her under expectations and control, she could ruin your military career. As part of your command and leadership, you should be able to control your household.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
But yeah, that's why I decided the Philippines. I was really at home here. Even when I was a young guy, old Filipinos, for some reason, when my hair was cut really low, I mean, I wasn't as big now then, but they would confuse me as possibly being Filipino.
Really?
Yeah. I've had full drawn out conversations. They were talking to me like in English, and sometimes they would talk to me Tagalog, and I knew some Spanish, so I could pick up the gist of a conversation pretty quick and follow along, even though I was answering the questions in English and talking back in English. Wow. So it felt welcoming. It felt like a secondary home. And then come to find out, my mom has some Malaysian in her. Where the hell that comes from, I don't know. So I kind of felt comfortable in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, so kind of like all the stars align, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely, man. And so you did mention that you So do you speak Tagalog fully? Like, are you fully fluent in
No,
that?
no,
Oh, okay,
little
okay,
bit,
okay.
little bit of Tagalog. But here's the problem: I'm in a place where they speak Ilocano. The Ilocano people here are mountainous rice people. I'm in central Luzon, about a 50-minute flight from Manila, central of that island, more
Okay.
northern of Manila. They speak. My girl speaks 5 languages.
Wow.
Besides for Ilocano, Tagalog, Visayan, and one other language, she also speaks English and some French and Spanish.
Oh,
She's,
wow. Okay.
yeah, it's crazy. You
Yeah.
can't get your kid to learn one language, and these guys are learning 5 and 6 languages just to communicate in their own country.
Right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so and how long were you visiting the Philippines before you decided, okay, this is where I'm going to stay?
My first long stint here was when I was in the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
And during the Gulf War, because the Philippines was the closest base that you could go to and kind of camp out, when Saddam went into Kuwait, I was in Hong Kong. We were already on ship. And the military and the Marine Corps, you call them ARGs, a group of 5 ships, and we do what they call a Westpac from the east. We sail out of California and we do a whole Westpac. We're supposed to be doing different little missions and ops with South Korea, Philippines, and other places as we're going along, patrolling. We're basically on patrol for 6 months
Hmm.
with the Navy. And anything pops up, and what our units were called SOC, Special Operations Capable. We had Force Recon, Navy SEALs. Marine Corps basically is under the command of the president for 30 days. We can go anywhere in the world. The president deems he wants to know information for 30 days without committing a wartime type of situation. On the 31st day, if we don't pull out, it's considered war. But we'll go anywhere in the world, period. And we'll drop ship. We can support ourselves for 30 days anywhere in the world. So we were already in Hong Kong. So when the flag went up for Kuwait, we steamed directly out of Hong Kong. It was in the Hong Kong newspaper. I have a clipping of it somewhere in storage. But we actually had it was in the newspaper, at the Hong Kong newspaper, that
Hmm.
our 5 ships were about to leave to go to Iraq. And they flew the ship of the flag. We got back to ship. We steamed directly out of the harbor from Hong Kong right into the Gulf of Oman. So way before the war started, I was already involved. We were doing ship interdictions and everything else. Tankers, everything you heard at the first of the Gulf War that was being stopped, our ships were involved in it. That was one of our missions, even before they had missions for the Gulf. We were doing ship interdictions with the Australian and the British Navy. So every time we would port, we go back to the Philippines. I mean, it was ridiculous how much time we had spent in the Philippines between when he went in and January 1st, when they actually started the war. Well, actually, it was January 15th, the following
Okay.
year. So we had been patrolling back and forth. We had been gone the longest. You're only supposed to be gone for 6 months. We were gone almost a year and 4 months on our float. You're only
Really?
supposed to be gone for 6. My wife at the time was pregnant with my first son by my wife. He was 9 months old, walking and talking by the time I got back. That's how long we were gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were gone for a while, man.
Yeah. So that got me into being used to being in the Philippines, and the Filipino culture, and appreciating the people, and starting to, have an affinity for how these people were so appreciative for as little as they had. They were still happy. Sir
Yeah.
and ma'am never stopped coming out of somebody's mouth.
Right.
They don't disrespect you off the top. You have to do something to be disrespectful. Just like Thailand. You go to Thailand, you got to do some wild, outlandish shit before somebody gets real disrespectful with you upon meeting you. It's always people are very polite. And that's what I notice about Southeast Asian countries. They're pretty polite right off the bat. You got to do something offhanded or give somebody a bad vibe for them to kind of look at you crazy.
Right.
And I'm not that personality, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's very good when it comes to like living in the United States, and I know like most of your time when you were living in the United States was spent in the Midwest. So I know the Midwest kind of has like a more like relaxed
Not most of my time. Not most of my time.
Oh,
Most of my time. Man, I spent
well,
30,
you did. Well, you did. I heard you.
32
You did.
years in California. No, 32 years in California, bro. I
Oh,
went from
okay.
Baltimore, Maryland, upstate New York, Fredonia,
Oh,
New York,
yeah.
to
Okay. All right. So, okay.
Birmingham,
So, yeah.
Philly, to Kansas. But once I joined the Marine Corps, I spent 30 plus years in California.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, you know
Yeah.
what? Scratch that. Okay. So, yeah. So you see. Okay. So, yeah. You definitely see like people kind of doing the mean mug
I
and
mean,
all
when I
that
was in my
stuff.
good looking days, they were trying to get me as extra on different shows. I was invited on a couple different shows. I just never chose to do it.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
loved it. I mean, I love the culture. I love it was just getting too expensive to stay in California.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting way too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love the sun and the
California.
sun, but guess what? You can
California.
get it for way cheaper in Texas than you can in California.
Yeah, California, I mean, it's definitely one of those places I like to visit, but I will never live in California, man. Never.
There's a lot of, and Richie will tell you, there's a lot of Californians that never left the state. They got so much to do in California, they never left. They never had the desire to. You want to go play in the snow? Go up to Big Bear. You know,
Oh
you
yeah,
want to go
that's
in
true.
the desert? Go out to 29 Palms. Go out to Palm Springs. Want to go to the beach? There's plenty of those too. You
Right.
have every type of environment you want to in California. Why you need to leave?
Yeah. Well, I mean, California's a huge ass state, you know what I mean? So you got to think about that
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah. Then you want wine country? Go up north.
Right.
Or Temecula, where I lived right outside of Temecula in Lake Elsinore. So Temecula
Okay.
is also wine country too. You can either go up north or go right above San Diego County and go right to Temecula.
Yeah.
And there's wine country there too. Several different areas for anything you can possibly desire. California has it.
Yeah, California is a very, very big state, man. Like I've done a lot of things visiting California and stuff like that. Okay, so now I want to get back to the Philippines and all right. And when did you like decide I'm gonna move here permanently? What year was this? Last year? Because I can't recall how long.
20, I want to say about 2020.
Okay, 2020. Okay.
2020, 2021 is when I started getting the bug of wanting to travel again. And after I started doing my treatments and getting my head straight, I'm like, what made me happy? You know, and it was traveling.
Right.
Started getting on panels, started doing YouTube, started doing a lot of different things, even back then. You know, getting used to being online, getting used to getting information of people that are already travelers, Ace Live, you know, checks in effect, you know, passport heavy, you know, a lot of white guys. I follow a lot of their channels, you know,
Hmm.
that were avid travelers in different countries in Southeast Asia,
Hmm.
you know, and that's the area I wanted. I wasn't really interested in going to Colombia, Dominican Republic, Brazil, none of those places. I was more interested in Southeast Asia in
Okay.
that region, in that region.
Okay. All right. And so you moved to the Philippines in 2020?
No, no, no. That's when I started getting ready to want to leave the country, is what
Oh,
you asked.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
I didn't move. I just moved here May 6th. I flew on Cinco de Mayo and I was here by May 6th. I ain't leaving. And I just told you by May 6th, it's July 1st. I've already signed a year at least.
Yeah, good
I'm
for
already
you,
on
man.
my third renewal for my visa, my second renewal on my visa. I'm getting my ACRI card next month, which I already paid for. And I'm looking at my SRRV. There's a special residency visa that you can get as a military veteran. Again, Philippines really
Okay.
appreciates American veterans. And if you're over 50 plus years, you can do that for very, very cheap, way cheaper than Thailand. You only have to have, as a military veteran, $1,500 in a Filipino bank and a consistent paycheck. That's it. Those are your only two requirements.
Wow. That's
Over
really, really
50 now.
cool, man.
If you're younger than 50 and a veteran, there's some other things that come with it. A little more money. But if you're over 50 and a veteran, that's the requirement.
That's good, man. That's good. You know, and I can understand why a lot of veterans are going to not just the Philippines, but also I have veterans that are going to Thailand too. But what I've noticed is like more and more veterans are going to the Philippines. Like they'll chill out in Thailand, right? But where they want to buy property is in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's the same rules as Thailand and the Philippines. You got to marry a local, or you're going to
Okay.
lease it out for 99 years or whatever, and it's still going to go back to that local. You can't own land in the Philippines or Thailand without being married to a local Filipino or Thailand woman. You can own a condo that's not 50% occupied by Americans. You can still do that in Philippines just like you can do in Thailand. But
Okay.
nothing more than a condo can you own individually. Even if you incorporate, the incorporation still has to have a Filipino or a Thai person involved in it when you come to own land ownership. I wish America would do that more so, but we don't. They really value their land. I think even Hawaii, they have some stipulations on how much land you can buy in Hawaii as an American if you're a non-American. The big thing is I wanted to clarify what Burton said. The SRRV. There are different levels to the SRRV. The lowest level, like I said, that you have to be over 50. You can still get an SRRV as a younger individual. It's just the rules are going to be a little more different. You're going to have to put up a little more money before you can get the SRRV.
Where did he say that? I'm looking for it.
It's like the third comment down from the bottom. That one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so hold on. I missed a couple of these. Let's see. Oh, we saw that one. Okay, this one. David Dice. There was a former UFC championship
Israel Adesanya. I know exactly who he's talking about. Israel Adesanya. He lives in New Zealand.
And he had to fight for his earnings from a woman
and wasn't even married to her. She was just his girlfriend. I heard about that situation, and I follow UFC fam. I call David Dice fam, but Israel Adesanya was a Nigerian Australian resident, had a Australian girlfriend of white descent, obviously. Mm-hmm. And after they broke up, she kind of tried to say that she contributed to his success as a UFC fighter. Like she got in the ring with him, and she deserved a portion of his earnings since the time they were together. And I think they were together not that long of a time, maybe 2 to 5 years. Now, in the meantime, Israel Adesanya, I think he defaults a lot of his paycheck into his mother's care. So he's smart. His mother has bought real estate. Yeah. His mother has bought in real estate. They've built developments and buildings and all these other things through their developmental company, but his mother has the full resources available to her, where he maybe gets a stipend out of that or whatever he wants, he can possibly get through that corporation. But she literally tried to sue him. He's absolutely right. She literally tried to sue him for half his earnings while they were together.
Yeah, I believe I heard about that. And I believe that there was another situation, and I think this guy was a soccer player where the woman tried to get his
he did
money.
The same thing.
Yeah, but he had all of his money in his mom's account.
Mom's name.
I
and
think
she was pissed.
Yeah, I think more and more athletes and entertainers are gonna start doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Because the thing is, like, they could try to sue you. You can say, "Hey, listen, I'm broke. I have no money. My people have money.
Hey, let me warn you. If you do this, and this is my financial advice, you better have a mother you deeply know that she'll never go off on you. She will never betray you. You better have such a trusting mother relationship with your mom if you want to do that, because I know a lot of ratchet ass mothers, when they got their sons and daughters might have got famous and made a lot of money, will try to bleed the hell out of them with the whole sympathy. I'm your mother. So you better
there's got to be a parent who you know is 10 toes down. 10 toes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Don't do it off the whim of, oh, this is a good idea. Nah, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm about to stop you and do the financial planning thing. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that unless you got some kind of contract that's airtight. If something defaults and she does something you don't like, you can immediately remove her off of all your resources and assets.
Absolutely. Style King says, "What up, Kings? Hey, what's
What up,
going
bro?
on?" All right. Filipinas were definitely brought up to be wives. However, that Tampo is some BS. What's Tampo?
Tampo is now you know it's some shit when a Filipino's attitude for a female has a whole word for it. It's basically a temper tantrum. And it's
Oh,
so
okay.
famous that they actually have a word for it called tampo. When a Filipino woman gets upset with you, it's called tampo. And they could last a few hours to a few days. They don't want to talk. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I was speaking with Jay. I was speaking with Jay offline, and essentially he just reiterated exactly what you said. So like their attitude or tempo, if you will, can last for a day, a few hours, it can last for a few weeks. But he also did say that even if they're mad at you, they are still going to do their womanly duties.
My girl just brought me a drink. We just had a conversation this morning, bro, that she didn't like. She still brought me an ice water. And you saw before she left, what did she do?
Oh, she gave you a kiss.
Yes. So yeah, you can be in tampo mode all you want, but they're going to still respect their men. They're still going to do the things that their men expect them to do. And they could be mad as F at you all at the same time.
Huh. That's good to know. That's good to know. You know?
But that's the ones that actually love you. You can see some ones that are tampo, they don't give a fuck. They don't care if you on fire. At that point, when they're on tampo, they wouldn't spit on you.
Yeah, no, yeah. We're talking about quality women here. So yeah,
exactly. Know the difference. There is a difference now.
Quality woman, quality woman. Because the thing is that like what I always tell guys is that like if this is the woman for you, even if after you get her upset and she still treats you with respect, right? Because like if you get a woman upset and like she's like, oh well, fuck you, you punk, blah blah blah, and she said all this, no, that's not the woman for you. Now, of course, right? We're all human. We're gonna say some things that we're not, we're not gonna like all the time, especially dealing with men and women. Women tend to deal with their emotions a bit more, right? Men, we're very straightforward, and sometimes like we'll say things just, not I would say rigid, but that's just how it is. And we'll just say it plain, and it could come off to a woman sounding very insensitive. So they may be going through whatever that particular day, and it may hit harder. So nonetheless, they may say, oh, well, my feelings are hurt or whatever. But if that woman is still treating you with the level of respect, then okay, you can say, all right, this is a good quality woman here. Or a potential to be a good quality woman.
Exactly.
The garlic is easy to pick up.
We're still vetting. We're still vetting until we do what? Put a ring on it and marry her. Even after you put a ring on it, you're still vetting. You're still testing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You definitely got to be vetting. You know what I mean? The vetting process takes years, months to years. So this isn't something where, okay, you guys went on a few dates and she seems feminine and great, and you just jump out the window. No, sir. No, you need to take your time. You have to always continue vetting. Always continue vetting.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So Tagalog is easy to pick up if you know enough Spanish. Cool. All right. New England Patriot. Man, bro, you gotta change your name, man. I hate
That's my guy.
I think I've known him before you. I know who he is. That's
Hey,
my dude
hey,
too,
they
man.
had their time, and sometimes you got to ride. Like I said, I've been a ride or die Kansas City Chiefs fan way when I was in enemy territory, and we were doing bad. But you
Yeah.
look at the Raiders, man. I don't think they'll ever get back up. But you still got diehard Raiders fans or rock a
Oh
Raiders
yeah.
jersey for the day they die. I don't care how bad their team is, And New England's got opportunities. I mean,
That's a
any
tough
given Sunday,
division.
right? Isn't that what they say? Any given Sunday, you
Yeah,
could beat.
and yeah, any given Sunday. I mean the AFC West is just such a tough division, right? I mean, just quick segue into football. I didn't mean for us to jump all over the place, but that division is tough. You got the Broncos, you got the Chiefs, and you got the Raiders, right? Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. No, I
you
mean
got the Raiders and Chargers.
yeah, Raiders and Chargers. Yeah, so yeah,
And then
that
we had New England jump out. I'm talking way back. We had New England, not New England. We had the Seattle.
yeah.
We had the Seattle team in our division as well. We got rid of them. They went to
Yeah.
another division.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Okay, so he says, I have a question for you both. Do you sometimes have the itch to explore new places that you've never been to before to see if there's something better? I'll let you go first.
I mean, that's
Or
what we do
well,
as
I can go
travelers.
first.
I mean, that's what we do as travelers, period. Whether you're traveling within the country, the United States, or whether you're traveling abroad, you're exploring. As men, we should have that desire. I don't know any one man that is so complacent they have no desires to want to explore options, states, the ability to earn more money in other countries or in another state. As men, that's part of the hunter gatherer mentality that we should have. Of course, as a man, you should want to explore options, business wise, women, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. I've had that itch, been scratching it, been doing that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that, and I think that you and I are very much alike due to the fact that like we've both been traveling since we were babies. You said since you were two, me since I was 3 years old, and both of my parents are from the Caribbean. Big up the yard, Jamaica. So it's like I've always been traveling internationally, and even as I get older, I'm always looking for new experiences and things like that. Like when Australia's been on a list of places of mine to travel to. So when you started to tell me, even though like your information was back in I believe in the 80s, but it's still one of the places that I still want to travel to, even though I know it's a lot of modern women there. But I always want to just explore. Now I know that that's not a place I'm not going to plan on living, but I always think about why not, right? Because there's almost 200 countries in this world. I think it's what 195, 196, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, one of my biggest fears is if I am 80, 90 years old or whatever, and I'm on my deathbed and I'm like, man, I wish I could have went here. I wish I could have went there. Right. And I just don't want to do that. And I just think that a lot of people, especially men who look like us, black men, and I'm gonna go into a little rant here. Black men, like I know that we have this affinity, right, to just stay in the bubble, the area, and we 50 states, it seems like it's so big, but the world is so big. The world has 7 continents. And I'm not saying that you have to see every single one, but I'm also saying why not have the affinity to at least want to see every single one? Most people just only move about 240 miles from where they were born. Did you know that, Alex?
Yeah, that's exactly why I said Californians don't go anywhere.
Right.
To
Yeah.
prove a point. They get comfortable, they're comfortable, they ain't going nowhere. And
Right.
that's okay. That's their choice. But at the end of the day, you can explore all of California. Like I said, they have plenty of options. They can explore all their state and still have things to do that they possibly like. There's a very few of us that want to have our passports, want to break out of that mold. Like I said, you got to be an out of the box thinker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, anybody that has a passport has to be an out of the box thinker, or you would just be complacent because you don't want to know anything better than that.
That was exactly, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and then he follows up. I'm confused between traveling to new places and settling down in a place that I like. Well, it depends on like what you have going on. I can't recall like what you have going on. So like if it's just you, I definitely think that you should just pick up the baton and move however you want to move. So like if you decide you say, hey, you know what, I want to spend maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe 3 to 6 months in the country, kind of get to know it, get to know the people, the culture, and things like that. Sure, why not? If you do have a lady, I would say find a place that would be beneficial for both of y'all, right? Because you want to make sure that it's a place where both of you all are going to be happy and flourishing in. And I think that like it's a very important thing, especially when it comes to a man and woman in relationships. I think that some men will go into a place that makes them happy, but not really know if it makes their woman happy. Now, if this is a woman that you plan on spending the rest of your life with, of course. Now, if this is just some woman that you're just hanging out with or whatever, and it's a bit casual-ish, then you shouldn't give a fuck, just to be fully transparent. But if you plan on spending quality time in the rest of your life with this woman, go to a place that's going to benefit both of y'all. But if you are a single man and don't have anything tying up, or if you have children that are grown, they're living their own lives, like how Ronan did, feel free to, explore whatever. You know what I mean? What I would say is, you know what? Get a globe, spin it, point at a place, go. That's it.
I agree with you.
Yep. Absolutely.
But let me say this. Depending on your age, and even if you're older, I'd say there's no time too late to want to travel. There's a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm going to travel when I'm 65 when I retire." By the time I'm 57, get ready to turn 58. Mm-hmm. The military wore me ragged. I'm 100% PNT through the military. My body aches. Can you imagine at 65 how much more my body will ache? How much will you have abused your body? And there's no guarantee you're going to be healthy tomorrow. You can get in a car accident. Look at Christopher Reeves, fell off a freaking horse, was paralyzed, then later died because he was impaired in the chair. You never know. Nobody's planning on having a diagnosis of brain cancer or having a tumor or something where they're being caused to have a heart attack. Bruce Lee, one of the fittest people in the world, devised certain fitness programs and protein intake and different things like that. Still died. Brain aneurysm.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is not promised. You can plan all day long to go and do whatever you want to do in retirement, or you can act on it now and then have things to reminisce in retirement, or have things that you say, hey, I want to go double back and see that again now that I'm retired. But have the experience now. You can always settle in on a place, but go explore and figure out what that one place is. Your favorite place today could be your 10th favorite place once you start traveling the world. And maybe that's not the place you're going to want to settle after you go and see it. You only have a limited exposure to what you have been exposed to up to this point. The greater exposure you have worldwide, the better you can have an opinion on where you want to be at the end of your life's tale, whenever that's going to be. But don't wait until tomorrow, because tomorrow's not promised. I guarantee you that. And this is coming from my personal experience. My brother was 3 years older than me, was shot and killed by a policeman that did need to be shot and killed by a policeman. He owned his own security company. The policeman decided to shoot him because he was more successful and tried to get away with it. Nothing is guaranteed. I don't care how successful you are in this world. So go out and see the world first before you decide where you feel you want to pitch your tent for the rest of your life. because it might change.
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely, man. Definitely sad to hear about your brother, man. Condolences, man, for real.
Like I said,
I'm sorry.
it's in the lyrics. I lived 10 lifetimes. I always say this. I lived 10 lifetimes.
Right.
And each lifetime you have different experiences and everything else. So the best thing you can do is jump from one lifetime and one life experience to another and continue to have those exchanges with your life. There's so many guys and they call them black pillars. They call them all kind of pills now, where these incels are sitting in their mom's basement with no desire to move around the planet or even come out of their mom's basement in the city or town that they're in.
Right.
Don't be that guy. Go stretch your legs. Go touch grass. Because that's the whole thing with the computers and social media. People get so ingrained on being on this computer, they don't actually go out and experience life for themselves. They live vicariously through these crash outs, these pookies, and everything else, but they don't go and do it for themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and I think that a lot of men have FOMO, fear of missing out, right? And especially like if if your circle is around a group of people who don't really travel, or like if you start talking about traveling and they're just like, yeah, nah, I ain't really messing with it, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna just stay here. Or they're like the type that'll say, depending on where they're at, they'll say, you know what, like, all right, I go to Florida every year, or I go to Vegas every year, and I'm not like diminishing that. Actually, you know what? Fuck it, I am diminishing that. The reason is because like no, the reason is because it's like I said, like the world is so big, right? And not only that, but I remember I was speaking with a friend of mine because he's one of those friends like I encourage him to get his passport, and he's like, well, let's go to Florida. And I'm like, yo, I got family in Florida. I've been to Miami so many times. I've been to Disney World so many times. I've been to Tampa. Like, yo, like, nah, I'm good with Florida. I've been to Vegas like 5-6 times. I'm good with Vegas. You know what I mean? So long story short is that it's better to expound your horizons and try a place that maybe you haven't tried, and maybe you may like it, right? Did you know, and you probably do know because you've moved all over the place. So I have a family member who I'm very close with, lives in California. Do you know that it is more expensive for me to go to see them, right, than for me to fly to Colombia?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm actually paying about almost $300 more to fly to see them than going to Colombia, and going to Colombia paying first class too. This is first class.
No doubt.
Crazy work, man.
Ridiculous in California and everything else. Hey, throw up that diagram I threw up. And
okay, I got you.
I'm gonna tell you how I live my life and why my name is Ronan and all these other things and my mentality, ethics, and all this. But this kind of goes into deciding on what you're doing with your life. And I had put up a poll earlier, and I just asked in the poll, do you understand or know your purpose in life? 68% of the people that answered the question said they did. But do you really? This is a Japanese term called ikigai. It's about understanding who self is, things that you like, your mission, your profession. There's all these different versions of what ikigai can mean, but it's come into self-actualization and becoming better than who you are through practice and everything else. The idea behind what a Ronin is. Ronin is a term or a word used in Japan of a samurai warrior that has become masterless. Maybe his master or the king had been killed. And obviously the incoming ruler doesn't want to take disloyal samurai into his company. So depending on if they can trust you or not, they'll either break you apart and you become a Ronin because you have no master, or they kill you, or you commit seppuku. All military personnel are trained warriors that have no master. We're roaming the earth. We're trying to pick professions, become specialized in certain areas, maybe from that military training, and continue our lives. But we're roaming. We've been trained for doing things and we're not. That's the idea behind what a Ronin is. A Ronin is a masterless samurai. So that's the whole thing about why I named myself Ronin. But Ikigai gets into what's your purpose in life. Become brilliant at whatever your purpose is. Find something else beside for your warrior nature to specialize in, to go out and help, to contribute, to doing things that cause you to have purpose so you are driven to continue. One of the reasons why I speak to a lot of this is a lot of brothers have PTSD. Men's Mental Health Month was just last month.
Right.
So many of us, brothers, military-wise, everything else, are committing self-deletion.
Mm-hmm.
Because they feel like they have no purpose. They've been browbeat by feminists and everything else, and their success level. They're not making six figures. Maybe they're not 6 foot tall. Maybe they're not this, that, and the other when society says they are, and they feel like they're not of any kind of will or help, anything like that. So they feel like they have nowhere to go. So they commit self-deletion.
Mm-hmm.
Military guys coming out of the military after, like I said, commanding millions of dollars of equipment, commanding men when it comes to dealing with lies and completing missions to nothing. So they self-delete.
Right.
One of the reasons behind Ronin Travelers is to encourage a lot of people that suffer from PTSD or feel like they can't feel like they're contributing to their society and their area. Get out and travel the world. You'll find a country, you'll find a community that might be able to make you feel like you're of service if you're a service-minded individual. It'll give you the ability to sit down and become great at one thing because you'll have more freedom to do it. That's the whole idea behind Ikigai in a nutshell.
Okay.
But that's my mentality of what I'm doing.
Absolutely, man. And so Ikigai, this term, so it just means what is your purpose?
Yeah. It's figuring out your purpose and being the best at whatever it is that you do. What did I tell my kids to do if they weren't happy with college? Find one thing that you love to do. You're going to spring out of the bed to do every day and be the best at it. Through your excitement, through your conversation of even talking about that job, you're going to excite other people.
Right.
They're going to want to deal with you because they see you have a love for whatever it is that you're doing. You have a purpose. You have a reason for living. So then you're not going to have the idea of, I feel useless. Let me go ahead and off myself because I don't want to be a burden. This is coming from a guy that had a death pact. And I had that with a couple of buddies of mine. I don't know if anybody else has talked about having death pacts while you're in a war. I did not want to go back as an invalid. I did not want to be a burden to somebody else, to my mom, whoever, my wife. I didn't want to be a burden. So if I was injured enough that I felt like I was going to be paralyzed or anything, I told my buddy, hey, I'll put a bullet in you if you put a bullet in me. That's how serious it was for me.
Yeah.
So you can imagine a lot of these guys that are alpha males that get out and they don't feel like they have a purpose, a passion, or anything. And now they're feeling useless because they're less than what they were while they were in and less appreciated, how that can become a problem.
Right.
That's the idea.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Is there anything else on here that you wanted to speak to or
No. You can go ahead and take that down. That's enough of being on that soapbox. I'm just saying that, you are appreciated and there's more things that you can do, whether you feel like in this society you're useless. There's other societies that will welcome you in and be happy to have you there.
Yeah, I think that this is a good a good tool to follow, right? Because I think that not only I mentioned FOMO, but it's also that, am I worthy enough, right? Am I worthy enough? Oh, I don't know people there,
Yeah.
right? I don't know people there. Oh, I don't know the language, right? And it's like, okay, but you know what? The thing is that they're so you can do research. I forgot there's an app you can go to pretty much almost any country and you can find a tour guide, a local tour guide. And this is a legit app. So like these people like register their name so they can't just like try to like actually like rob you or try to like scam you or anything like that. Like they actually have like their real information on there, right? But
Right.
the thing is that they're local people and they show you around, and it's basically like their job. I forget the name of the app, and I gotta look it up. But anyway, but the whole purpose of it is what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that don't be afraid to not go into these countries because you don't think that you're worthy enough, or because you don't know the language, you're not sure that you're going to like the food. Be willing to take a risk, right? Because I would just rather say, for me, I'm this type of person, and I think a lot of us are, who, on our deathbed, can reminisce and say, man, I had a great time when I went here. Man, I can't believe I did this, I did that. As opposed to on the flip side saying, man, I can't believe I never got a chance to do this, or I never got a chance to do that. Right. And I think that what both of us are saying in unison, Ronan, is take the opportunity. Take the opportunity while you have it. I think that you know, you mentioned Bruce Lee passing away from a brain aneurysm. I believe you said you mentioned someone else, but you're right. At the end of the day, tomorrow is not promised, right? Most of us drive. Do you know that more deletions come from automobile, right? I remember I was getting into a debate with one of my friends because there was the plane crash that happened in Philadelphia, and they're like, "Yo, I'm not
Mhm.
messing with no planes." And I'm like, "Dude, but you drive everywhere, and do you know how many deletions come from vehicles every day? If you were to actually Google it, you would be like, oh shit, I think I should be flying a lot more, right?"
Right.
But
Right.
yeah. So
It's the same thing when they amplify a crime in another country. Oh, this person got scoped. Oh, this person. But do you know how many people get killed in America in
yeah,
different cities? I mean, are you kidding? You're amplifying one case out of the thousands of cases in America in different cities that all
yeah,
throughout America that you would have to worry about more so
right,
than moving around in other countries. But
right,
they're going to amplify it, especially to brothers, to try to stop them from wanting to travel. We're
right,
very few when it comes to the Black community traveling
right.
that have passports. Even fewer, I think, Black men are less than Black women that have passports.
Yep, that's true.
You know,
Uh, it is true. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. You respond to this one. Okay, Ronan, how long does the tourist visa last for the Philippines, and do we need to exit every few months? That's a good question.
that's a great question. And no, you don't. And you get the first one free. Free, free, free. Yeah, you get your first 30 days in the Philippines for free. Basically, you don't pay anything. The minute you show up, you get a 29-day visa. The next one you can renew. You can do that up to 3.5 years without leaving the country.
Hmm.
3.5 years without having to leave the country, just renewing your visa. Now, after the first few months, then you can do 2 months to 6 months at a time, depending on what part of the country you're in. When you go into immigration, they can give you an option of 6 months. Where I'm at, I only get a 2 month renewal on my visa. So, in that respect, I have done my second renewal, which was a 2 month. I did my first 30 days after my free 30 days. I did my second month my second renewal at 2 months. I'm getting my ACR I card. Now, you can now renew your immigration status online. You don't even have to go into the office anymore. You can go in as long as you have your ACR card. Because I did it my second renewal. My second renewal, I went in online and did it, and everything went through because I wasn't required to have an ACR card because I've only done one renewal. After your second renewal, you have to go in to the office, and what they do is they charge a little bit extra on your renewal for 2 months, but that extra is so that you can get an ACRI card. The ACRI card is an identification card as a resident, but it allows you to go into online and renew your immigration status online every 2 months or so. Depending on what part of the country you're in, you might even have a 6 month option. And you can do all that online. The onward ticket, remember, in the Philippines, you always have to guarantee that you're going to be leaving if you're denied. Right? I use onward.com in order to have an onward ticket, but they don't even ask for that in some places. I wouldn't say not have it, but it's only like a $16 or $12 option to do an onward ticket, just so if you're denied, you can go ahead and follow through on the onward ticket and book out. Hold on one second.
Okay. All right. While he's doing that, shout out to T Mac. He says, salute my Marine Corps brother. Thank you so much for the super chat. Definitely appreciate you tuning in here. Let's see. Okay. HB going global. Hey, my guy, what's going on? Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, how we doing? Let's see here. Never ends. 49% foreigner owned and 51% local owned. Yeah, I did know about that. I did know about that, Jay. And what Ronan was saying, yeah, it's the same way in Thailand.
Yeah. So, where did I leave off at? I'm trying to think.
You left off at oh my gosh.
Help me out, Chad. Yeah, me too. That's a big distraction when something like that happens. You know, hey.
Right.
You know, anyway, yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I left off.
Man, somebody. Oh man,
help us out, Chad. Where did I leave off at? I know it's trying to make a point.
Yes, you were. You were making a point.
Oh, I think it was immigration.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah. You were talking about the.
Now that I have my ACR card, now that I have my ACRI card, I can renew online up to the 3.5 years. But like I told you, I'm going to go ahead and file for my SRV. If that's not going to mess me up, I'm going to do it that way. That way, I don't have to keep on renewing. And what it does give me is I can come in and out of the country as I please without having to check in anymore once I do that. And for the nominal fee at my age, that $1,500 in a bank account, which I need a Philippines bank account to make my transactions a little bit easier, even with paying my lease here. So it behooves me to go ahead and do it since I got to have a bank account anyway. You know?
Got it. Now, you said that you could stay, basically you said that you could stay for about 3 years. Now, how much is that cost?
The nominal fee every so many months, 2 months, is like about 3,000 to 3,800 pesos. You break that down at 55 pesos per dollar. Doesn't cost anything. That's for 2 months each time. So it's about 1,500 pesos per month, which is nothing to stay here.
Okay, so if you break that down into US dollars, let's say you want to stay for about 3 years. So what are we talking about? Like $200?
Well, I hope you wouldn't. I hope you wouldn't just stay on that tourist visa for 3.5 years. My God.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Let's say every 2 months, 60 days. I'm going to say 3,500 pesos. and then clear 21,000. So $318 a year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's so
If you
yeah.
do it every 2 months, multiply that out by 3 years, you're looking at just under 1,000 for 3 years
Okay.
stay. If you
Okay.
pushed it out that far, but like I
Yeah.
said, it would just be easier to get the SRV and be done with check-in all together.
Okay. All right. Now when it comes to getting properties there, so what do you need to have in order to purchase property? Like, I know that you said that you couldn't get anything bigger than a condo. Is that correct? Like, unless you're
Unless
married.
you have a business license or you're married, yes.
Okay.
If you're doing business in the Philippines, there's a way for you to circumvent the marriage part for like you still don't own it. You have some ownership in it through subleasing, but you don't own it outright because
Okay.
Filipino national always has to have ownership in their land. You can own a share of the business, but you can't own the land that it's sitting on. You
Okay.
can set up a lease for a certain amount of time, 50 to 90 years, I think is the excess of the lease. And then you can have a guaranteed renewal option or until death option. My
Okay.
thing is, if you're going to do land for me, if you're going to do land for anything, you need to have some skin in the game. If it's going to be with a Filipino, there better be a kid involved because guess what? That's a legacy,
Oh, absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you're buying for the future of your children, yes, you're not going to benefit, but your kid's going to be a Filipino national. Guess what? They have all rights and ownership to that land. It's not going to go to another one of her family members. It'll go to your descendant, the children that you two have. That's how
Right.
you protect yourself.
Okay. Understood. Understood. Now, what would you say would be the average amount for someone to live a single man comfortably and where you're at in the Philippines? Because I know, obviously, you know your area the best.
Oh man, that's all on an individual basis. Depends on how cheaply somebody wants to live and how extravagantly. That's all on personal preference when it comes to how much income can you live off of. I know
Yeah.
people that are on Social Security barely making $1,600. Are they surviving? Yes, they are comfortably. Let's
Right.
put it this way: the national income of the Philippines is $300 to $400 a month. Even at $1,600, you're making 4 times the amount of the national average.
There you go.
So you're at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $8,000 a month. You're making an easy 6 figures. Man, you're top 1%.
Absolutely. Okay. So yeah. So what I would say, because I like to guesstimate, because as you mentioned, like everyone in individual experience, right? Because you might have some people who are just like very frugal, and then you have some people that are just like, hey, I want to party, I want to
Got
do all this.
$1,600 a month. I got to be able to pay, but I want to have fun and this, that, and the other thing too.
Yeah, so I would say probably to live comfortably, you're looking at probably about 15 to 2,000.
Yeah, I would say you can get a decent 1 bedroom apartment in maybe Makati or BGC or even I want to say Cebu. You can get places like that for anywhere from $300 to $500 a month. Now,
Okay.
then you can cable, water, and water is like barely $10 or whatever. Water is not a high expense, but it is an expense. Your
Okay.
electric bill is the biggest thing you would have to worry about. Cable bills, nothing. Phone bills here are stupid low. The biggest thing you would have beside for your rent would be your food expense. How much do you eat? And then other than that, the rest can be used for fun if that's what you choose to do. So a lot of guys that are out here, the older expats, they're probably living on a decent $2,000 plus whatever they have in their savings or retirement funds. You can live decently without struggling, I would say 2,000 or better.
Okay.
1,500, you're pushing it, depending on what's going on. I would say 2,000 or better would give you a better equal kind of cost of living to you being in America without supplementing any of your comfort, your creature comforts.
Understood. Okay. All right. So he says, as a Filipino, I would have referred foreigner must own their business 100%. That really attracts more investors. In my country, Filipinos are so desperate to change the 1987 Constitution.
They are, and unfortunately, I can't pronounce your name properly. I don't want to mess it up. But
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't want to botch your name either, brother.
right, as a foreigner, I can't speak to Filipino politics, government, or anything. But I understand that you guys are ready for some serious changes in a lot of different areas. So believe me, I'm here looking at the temperature, looking at different resources. There's a lot of growth potential here in the Philippines. It's one of the fastest growing fiscally economies. There's a lot of new buildings going up, a subway system, a bullet train system. There's a whole bunch of things that are changing here in the Philippines. Bases are reopening. Subic Bay is reopening their base because they're going to start challenging China in the shipping lanes that are between here and the Filipino Sea and China. So there's a lot of different things that are going on. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of potential in business ownership for Americans and liaison principal work and different things like that. If you have Filipinos and you know English and they need translators or whatever, but English is supposed to be a primary language of the Philippines. A lot of people try to play off on they don't speak English. What it really is they don't speak English well, and rather than mess it up, they rather act like they don't speak it. It's an honors thing. It's a saving face type of thing.
Okay.
You know, but most Filipinos speak English. That's why it's a huge hub for call centers.
Yep.
Call centers is a huge business in the Philippines, just like in India, because English is a primary language and the labor is cheaper.
Yep. Absolutely. So there's three places. And I actually have like overseen. I've overseen call centers in these areas: El Salvador, Philippines, as you mentioned, India. Right. So with El Salvador, I will say this: a lot of people from El Salvador, they pride themselves on speaking English, and a lot of them speak English very, very well. Where to the point where you think that you're speaking to someone from the United States, not realizing that you're speaking to someone that's in El Salvador. In the Philippines, you can kind of tell sometimes, but I will say that their English is very good. I will say that. In India, it's getting better. It's getting better. I will say that. But those three places for sure have call centers. So as you mentioned, like the work is relatively inexpensive for us. So I definitely get that.
Real quick, shout out to T Mac. I appreciate the $10 super chat. I didn't get to read it, but thank you, brother, for coming into the live. Appreciate the contribution on the super chat.
Perfect. All right. And Drew says, if you think about things we own now, we will not be owned by our families 100 years from now.
He's absolutely right. So what's the default? A lot of people are like, oh, well, you don't own your land. Well, you have a right on an option, like I said, up to 50 to 100 years.
Right.
He's absolutely right. Comparable to being in the United States and actually owning land, which is deceptive in itself, because if you really look at the laws, you can be by eminent domain, the land could be taken from you.
Yep.
And if you own land, why are you paying taxes on it? Think about that too. You don't really own your land, because if you default on the taxes that you own on the land, who gets to reclaim it? But you brought it out right. It was yours.
Right.
So do you really own the land in the United States, or is it a false sense of perception that you own the land in the United States just because you have a deed? Stop it. So yeah, it's comparable to like you said, you can live in the United States and your family, if you don't have it deeded in a trust or something like that, your family won't own that land in 100
Right.
years. A lot of things that we struggle in life, we struggle because we have a perceived uh, uh, misperception on a legacy that we're leaving for our kids. But I talk about this all the time in financial planning and retirement. Your kids will tear up your whole legacy not more than 2 months after you're dead. They won't appreciate half the shit you did. They won't appreciate half the money that you made. They will take what they want and leave the rest for the fucking vultures. Believe me, I worked in life insurance for a lot of years. I worked in financial planning. I've watched myself give out life insurance policies and watch these kids waste the freaking money. I've seen them tear up businesses. I see how insensitive people are to your struggles in life. And that's why I say there's a time and place where you need to pick and choose what kind of legacy are you building. Are you reestablishing in a trust? What are you doing to secure that your legacy that you're working so hard for is going to stay consistent with what your wishes are? Because your family don't give a F once you're dead.
Facts. All right. He says, you always have my support. Shout out to T-Mac again. Let's see. I went to sell my house in guess what state? California.
Wise man, because that was my number one advice to a lot of, as a fiduciary and a financial planner. I asked them, once their kids are grown, do you plan on staying in California? Well, why not? Because that house in California, the evaluation on that house, you can buy in the South, Texas, or somewhere where it's a tax-free state. You can buy the same size house for less and take the rest of the money, either invest it or use it to travel with. Why are you staying in California? All your kids will never come back to your home all at the same time ever in their lives. You will never get all your kids to come back. Right. So why are you keeping 7-bedroom house when you're not going to use all 7 bedrooms ever once they move out of the house? They ain't coming back like that.
Right.
You might get 1 or 2 full families back in that house once they leave your house and start having their own individual lives. You'll be lucky to get 3 out of the 7 back in the house at the same time.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay. Colombia. Well, hey, listen, T-Mac, Colombia, I'm your guy.
He's already down there. He's already down there. He's down there more than anything.
Oh, T-Mac, okay. What part of Colombia you at, T-Mac?
Him and Andre from Love Crossing Borders are tight, man. They all down in the same area.
Oh, wait. Is this? I think I know T.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, so wait. If this is the T that okay, wait. Hold on. Is this the T that that I met you? We were at Chippy Chape. If this was that T, then I think I know who this guy is. Let me see. Nah, very different laws. I'm sorry, very different. Lease versus freehold is non-debatable.
It's not non-debatable. You can agree to disagree. It's a false sense of hope. Yes, there's value in the land. Yes, if you own land and it appreciates, you get more money out of it. What they're saying is, and what I said was, I don't care how hard you work for it, your family will fumble the fucking bag after you're gone. If you sell it, yeah, fine. But if they sell it, they're not going to sell it for the true value. They're trying to get the money out of it.
Right. Okay. I understand now.
I get what he means, but yeah. You can agree to disagree. Yeah.
$1.2 million just sitting. There
you go.
Yep.
There you go. Might as well sell it. Put some in investment accounts. Go down to Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah, go down and buy you a nice little spot in Lorelas and live off the interest or the interest gained on your investment.
Okay. I lived there. Okay, so wait, are you in Medellin or are you in Cali? Because I own property in Medellin and Poblado. Let's see.
I'm visa holder.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is you guys going back and forth. I was with Andre back in December. Yeah, so the last time I was in Cali was August of last year, and I went for Petronio.
You went to the Cali convention, yeah.
Yeah. So So I'll be back. Yeah, so I'll be back in a few weeks. So I'll be in Medellin, and then I'm going to Cali again for Petronio Alvarez. But okay, cool. So Medellin, but I'm moving to Cali part time. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so T Mac, yeah, so definitely hit me up, man. So because when I come out to Medellin, I'm actually gonna be getting some content in Lorella's. So I've been going to Medellin since 2020, and then I started renting my property in 2021, and then I purchased it in 2023. Let's see, Medellin, I'm moving to Cali. There's a Medellin in the Philippines too. Yes, I heard about that, but I don't think that's the Medellin. That's not the Colombian
Not the
Medellin.
same thing. Yeah. That is, yeah, there's a lot of Spanish name towns. I mean, even the way the town is that I'm in, it looks one way and it's pronounced another way. Spelled
Yeah,
with a C, but pronounced with a K. And it sounds like you're living in Hawaii. It's called Kauaian City.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's spelled with a
Uh,
C.
okay.
So
Um.
yeah,
I was in August as well. I was with. I went with the Chica to see Mark Anthony.
okay,
Okay. Cool.
okay. Oh, that's a nice little setup. You were setting up a whole vibe with that one, T Mac.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He
Got Mark
was. Yes,
Anthony
sir. He
singing.
was.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir, he was. Okay, so it is midnight here on the East Coast, man. And
Right.
I definitely want to do a part two of this with you, man, because I think that this was a lot of good stuff, man, as far as when it comes to men's mental health. And I know with you being a military vet, first of all, thank you for your service yet again. But I think when it comes to men in general about their mental health, it's important. And I also
Yeah.
do know how important it is, especially when you tell me about in the military where something pretty much can change your life right in front of you, and you just have to keep going, and you don't have any time to really reflect on it. Because especially if you're in the battlefield, your life really depends on it. So you can't have any time if you happen to lose a buddy, mourn on them. You got to keep pushing,
Yeah.
which is very sad. And I guess now they're starting to work on the rehabilitation, but I mean, my personal thoughts from the outside looking in, I think it's long overdue because I still see a lot of homeless veterans that are not being taken care of.
Yeah, and then as my closing remarks is just like if you're a veteran and you're looking for a new direction, a new blueprint for yourself, you're trying to reclaim your peace. You're living without discipline and you want discipline and freedom, building wealth and legacy abroad, healing your traumas and false expectations of society that they have on you, thinking that the only way you can be considered successful is be a six-figure man or stepping back into your God-given masculinity because you've been demasculated by feminism. And this is not only to older guys, but younger guys that have no direction because they're raised by single mothers and browbeat. You ain't shit like your daddy was type of situation. Those are the things I speak to more. So, like I said, if you're looking for direction as a veteran seeking peace, if you're a creator trying to build a new chapter, or if you're just looking for, like I said, some type of direction, those are the type of conversations I have. Those are the conversations that myself, Fearless, and Black Man Travels has on Lions Den. I do a Thursday night therapy session with Fearless, and we actually have a licensed therapist usually on, and then I do hit and run pieces all the time. So those are the type of subjects I talk about.
Absolutely, brother. Man, let's definitely do a part two of this because I definitely want to get more into like the living aspect abroad, right? Like, what are some things that men may need to change about themselves, how to adjust in a new country and stuff like that. And I definitely want to do a part two with you, man. Definitely very, very soon, brother. I appreciate your time, man, for
No
sure.
problem. Appreciate being on the show. Thank you again for inviting me on the show and having me talk to your people about what I do and the beauty of being able to be abroad and get your mindset straight to become a better you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much, my man. Alex, Ronin Travels, man. Definitely salute. Hey, man, it's your guy, Kings and Dreams. Peace and love. Stay purposely purposeful, and I'm out. Peace.
See you.